Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to Stacks by the Numbers. And Fubo TV, ticker symbol FUBO, warrants another update as the company is posting earnings set for tomorrow, while the stock right now currently is raging after hours, up to it closed at $1.74, down 7 cents. A little less than 4%. And we can see after hours, we're up to almost $2 now. We're climbing. We hit 196 just now, a moment ago. We're still up over 20 cents, about 12%, $1.95. We've gotten above a couple of trend lines here. And if we back up, we can see that, first of all, I'm awesome because I said that even though this potential ascending triangle didn't come to fruition and the stock ended up breaking down, retesting this fib, forming a double bottom here and here, retested the 20-day moving average and then exploded and bounced. And I said, in my opinion, I could see the stock going to about 185, maybe 186 going into these earnings. And we can see that's exactly what happened just the other day. Today, we kind of tried to hold on and then ended up dropping down into the 170s. And then now, after hours, you can see $1.95. So we are now well above this top resistance trend line here that I was watching in the short term. Again, that's from the recent pop-up from last quarter, and of course on the news of the initial litigation going their way. And I said that, in my opinion, if we break above this line, and of course if we get some decent earnings, we could potentially see maybe about 230 meeting up with this top line resistance level here. So obviously very good after hours movement for Fubo TV. Congratulations to all shareholders. And if we look at the news, we had another deal struck with Fubo, because they're just awesome, apparently. And we have Tegna, I believe, Fubo TV strike multi-year carriage deal for NBA NHL games. So Tegna TGNA said Thursday it has reached a multi-year agreement with Fubo TV, giving subscribers to the streaming platform access to Dallas Mavericks basketball games, Seattle Kraken hockey games, and Denver Nuggets and Colorado Avalanche games. Financial terms of the agreement were not disclosed. Tegna shares were little changed, while Fubo was down again during the day. But in my opinion, I feel like a lot of people see how cheap it is. They've looked at previous earnings. They see that we keep signing deals. People keep tapping Fubo, and of course, earnings are tomorrow. So I feel like that's kind of adding to the after hours volume coming in. Someone mentioned a pretty big trade that just came in. I think it was there. Let me see. It doesn't show the volume there. That was about 16K right there on that minute tick. So we have some size, not really too much size, but we have a little bit of size. The traders are positioning themselves, probably assuming yet again that Fubo is going to just continue to impress. And again, we've come down into this big triangle. We have the tightening. I mentioned we can easily pop back up to the top of the range here, maybe about 230. And if we look at previous earnings, we can see just beats on the top and bottom lines and doing it handsomely. 3, 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 6 in a row. Missed on EPS, still beat on revenue. Missed on EPS, still beat on revenue, right? So this company has been pretty solid for almost 2 straight years, even though I know they're still dealing with the whole litigation and stuff. Again, that's supposedly slated for, I believe, October of 2025. So that may not be completely finalized for roughly 12 months. But I will say, again, in my opinion, I think the stock is massively undervalued. This is a $4 or $5 stock easily in my eyes. And the company, again, hit highs of 380 and change on 2 separate occasions since we initially brought it to everyone on this channel. I don't know, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever it was. But the stock was doing very well on its own merits. And then ever since Disney kind of threw a wrench into the gears with this whole joint venture, let's have 3 conglomerates team up to take on Fubo, that basically, in my opinion, is what's keeping the stock down. But I will say this. First of all, I feel like it can get back up to $3, $4, no problem, on its own merits. B, if they do, for some reason, keep the stock just flat, trading inside of this triangle, not moving too much until October of 25, let me tell you something. If the ruling does go in their favor, again, the initial ruling went in Fubo's favor, and obviously Disney and Fox and who was the other one? Warner Brothers. They filed the appeal. So now, again, they're going to rehear the case back in October of 25. And again, if they keep it flat, and the appeal also goes in Fubo's favor, the stock is going to absolutely explode. I think we might see here, and I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. 7, 8, potentially up to $10, $12. It is extremely possible. We've looked at the numbers multiple times on Fubo. Again, they're expected to bring in 376.76 million on EPS estimates of a loss of 17.7 cents a share. And in my opinion, I think the revenue really shouldn't have an issue. I think they're going to beat on that revenue side, and hopefully they keep the losses in check as well, and that should immediately pop it up. If it does prematurely break above to like 2.5 after these earnings come out, you're probably going to see a retracement potentially back up to the highs of about 380 and change, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. But again, last time we looked at the numbers, I personally put fair value at least around like $4 or $5 a share. So it's just a very unfortunate news cycle situation with Fubo. But again, during the whole time that this is taking place, the company's consistently beating earnings. They're mentioning how efficient their advertising is, their engagement, the interaction with the users on the ads. We did that update. And the company, again, consistently beating earnings, consistently seeing subscriber growth, quarter over quarter, year over year, revenue growth. Look at the EPS consistently climbing. We were also saying, in my opinion, potentially over the next couple of quarters, we could have the company turn net income positive, which again should technically absolutely explode the stock even further. Look at this growth over the years. Again, for last year, 1.37 billion. Even if we subtract the loss from that, you're looking at about positive 1.07 billion. Company right now, $570 million market cap. After hours move brings it up to about 600 million and change. So that's what I mean. We're trading like 0.6 times annual revenue for last year. And of course, this year seems to be pretty solid. And of course, our net margins keep climbing to the up and up. So the company for the last 2 quarters, 402 million, 390 million. And again, for this quarter, I'm probably going to estimate like 385, 390 million. So the company's on track to do like 1.6 billion for the year, which would indicate another year of revenue growth year over year. And of course, the profit margins have been improving as well over the last couple of quarters. So in my opinion, really seems on the up and up. But I just love that we're constantly getting these news updates of people striking deals, entering partnerships with Fubo TV. I literally said that this was going to happen, and I especially highlighted this after that update when that news article came out about the study of all the streaming platforms and how effective their ads were. And we saw that in the data, Fubo was kind of head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. And I said that, in my opinion, you're going to start to see other platforms and other companies and businesses start to tap into Fubo because they're going to see the efficiency of the ads and the marketing strategy that could be implemented through Fubo and the type of exposure and engagement that they'll then have for their products or their services by teaming up with Fubo. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. And again, they tapped into BKFC now. So Fubo's really spreading out. And now, again, you can see we're getting tapped by other companies. We mentioned the Roku also. Roku recently teamed up and tapped. As you see, Fubo TV launches beta multi-view feature on select Roku devices, enhancing user experience. So this is what I mean. Slow and steady wins the race, in my opinion. And even though people want to keep them down or act like it's not the best company out there, understandable. But we know that men lie, women lie, numbers do not lie. Revenue growing, losses tightening, subscriber growing, again, engagement with ads and users increasing, time spent on devices, multiple partnerships across the board with companies like Tegna, Roku, and again, until that situation changes, then in my opinion, it looks good in the numbers, it looks good as a business, and I would personally be a buyer. Full disclosure, I do have a tiny position in Fubo, definitely not enough to really be impactful for me, even if the stock doubles and triples. But as I always say, if I talk about a company just like STEM, that one obviously didn't work out, but I always say if I, keep talking about a company and I say, in my opinion, I would buy it, then, as soon as that tiny YouTube ad money started trickling in, I bought a handful of Fubo shares at a time and built up a little tiny position there. So again, full disclosure, I'm always transparent. But the debt, again, pulling back to 400 million. It is still up, but technically down, 10, 12% from the highs here of almost 450 million. And the free cash flow as well, minus 32.5 million for last quarter. That time last year, minus 71.25 million. So this is what I mean. These losses have essentially been cut in half. And even here for Q4, you can see free cash flow almost went positive as well. So this is why, again, in my opinion, I'm kind of seeing the writing on the wall. And I think that while it's still a little bit of a struggle in the short term, I think in the long term, I think Fubo really does begin to climb and really appreciate in value. But debt 400 million, 155 million in cash, short-term liabilities outweighing short-term assets, long-term assets outweighing liabilities. We come over here, the equity was on the down and down, got down from 400 million plus down to 236 million as of last quarter, finally ticked up to above $250 million. So now we may really start to see it in the equity and on the balance sheet as well, this whole reversal and this growth coming into the business. Book value technically going down as of last quarter was 81 cents. Stock right now only trading about 2.2 times book value, which technically is a pretty low ratio, especially for a market that's staying up near highs and seeing immense growth over the last couple of years. Again, this is a tech company, streaming platform, sports streaming service, had 3 tech conglomerate giants team up into a joint venture to enter their demographic and their space. So again, that's what I said. You don't do all of that unless you know that Fubo is absolutely raging and they're growing like an animal and they're starting to take over your market share. But total equity here, $250 million. That was essentially the difference here, right? Minus 400 million plus 155 million in cash brings you to about negative 250 million. Equity 250 million, so that cancels it out. So now we look at this figure again, 137 billion in revenue, cost them less than 300 million to make. That puts, in my opinion, fair value of the business at a little over like 1.07, 1.08 billion, which means that we can essentially almost double from here, which is why I'm saying $3.50 to $4 a share back near these highs, in my opinion, really shouldn't be an issue. But Fubo's been doing very well, but it started to move after hours, climbed up, got above that resistance trend line, as you see here, runs all the way to 196, and of course we still have a little bit of time to go before after hours trading is concluded. So we'll see where Fubo goes, but we had that good news come out today, so I had to jump on and do another positive update for Fubo TV. Let's look at stock charts real quick. I'll let you go. The stock was stepping upward, and now, of course, we popped up after hours. We are well above the top Bollinger Band now on the daily. MACD steadily climbing, probably going to continue up again, and based off this is why I'm saying we might see $2 plus tomorrow, potentially. So we'll see if this is going to be a quick kind of pump and dump going into these earnings, or if we're going to continue this momentum now as we got up above this resistance trend line. We'll see where it closes and where it opens, and that should dictate where the stock might go going into earnings. But in my opinion, yeah, back up here, right around $2 a share, really shouldn't be an issue. Switching over to the weekly, we can see top Bollinger Band on the weekly, $1.94. Stock right now, $1.92. And $1.94 right there. So again, technically got above that mark and then slightly pulled back below it, but now on the weekly 50-day moving average 184, basically right near this trend line. So now we're technically above the resistance trend line and we're technically above the 50-day moving average on the weekly. So stock really seems to be on the up and up, in my opinion. And if we're curling and we're going to make a higher high than what we saw back in August, right? If we're going to step now and make a higher high, that's why I'm saying this trend line right here, about 230, really shouldn't be an issue. In my opinion, that's where the stock's going to go, probably on another earnings beat. RSI on the longer term time frame, middle of the road, sitting here at 54.25. So that's why I'm saying we can continue to climb. We have that room on the RSI, both on the daily and the weekly. And if it's another good quarter, the stock again should pop up. And I know people always like to check the short interest. And we can see here, according to FinViz, the stock has a short float of a little over 12%. And I know people, I forgot what stock it was, but someone else was mentioning a different stock, and the short float, 13%, I think it was, that might help fuel the rebound. So I guess if we get into double digits and we're more than 10% shorted, the traders set eyes on it sometimes. But again, in my opinion, in general, I feel that this stock is undervalued even at these levels. And I basically feel like the traders, again, they're kind of banking on the fact that Fubo's probably going to see more growth, consistent growth. They're probably going to beat estimates again for earnings. And of course, again, we had another deal, multi-year deal struck with Tegna, I believe it is. So nothing but good news on Fubo, and that's why, they can try to keep him down, but you can't keep a good man down, as we always say. So that's why, like back up here too, you can see where we gapped down and tried to retrace and then rejected back down. You can see that's like 239, 240. So that's why, again, I'm saying we could potentially run up to this line and just break right through it and start to head up into the high twos, potentially even low to mid threes. So of course, I'll keep you updated along the way. And we have earnings due out tomorrow morning. So again, I thought it was after hours. My apologies. So the earnings are coming out before market open. So yeah, now is the time for traders to step in today and now after hours to lock in, hopefully, that big win that gets reported early in the AM. And of course, we'll jump on tomorrow. We'll look at the numbers, but I'm wishing everyone the very best with Fubo. And again, overall, in my opinion, short term and both long term, I personally really like it. And I also had that, I had that analysis well before I had a few bucks to buy shares for myself. So just keep that in mind as well. But that is pretty much it for Fubo, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. So I'll end it there. Once again, Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comment section. I'm usually pretty quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But of course, more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they are very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.